since I've been obsessed with Breath of the Wild for the last few months, I feel it's the perfect time to talk about the type of political system we see in the Zelda universe. Hopefully by the time this is released, the oversaturation of Zelda videos is through. So, much like the Mushroom Kingdom video, this is going to be a discussion of what type of system we see here. Hyrule is a bit less tricky than the Mushroom Kingdom though, simply because we do see some of the inner workings of the kingdom. It also helps we have a timeline to go by instead of just winging the dates and stuff, though Breath of the Wild is still not officially confirmed at this point, and despite the line of dialogue that people are pointing to, I still think it fits into the Downfall timeline much easier than the others, but that's neither here nor there. So let's look into this and decide what kind of kingdom we have in Hyrule. To call back to the Mushroom Kingdom video, we discussed the two main types of monarchies that exist: direct and constitutional. Direct is what we see when the monarch is directly responsible for the workings of the government and has ultimate authority over everything. Constitutional is what we see in many modern-day monarchies, in which a monarch has more reserved power and appoints a cabinet or figure to deal with the everyday workings of the kingdom. Now, contrary to the Mushroom Kingdom, we do see the monarchs of Hyrule ruling the kingdom and making decisions that affect the political course of the land. The king has also been directly sought after by Ganondorf in Ocarina of Time, and when he kidnapped Zelda, it can be assumed that he did so to distress the king, causing him to make rash decisions to get her back, which in turn led to the fall of the kingdom in the future. And though the timeline split and Hyrule falls and rebuilds multiple times throughout the series, it always rebuilds in a similar set of rules and monarchs. An interesting thing to note is that direct monarchies are often heavy in religious ties. The goddesses of Hyrule, the Triforce itself, and Zelda being the reincarnated Hylia, are all religious-based reasons behind the monarchy of Hyrule. If your princess is a former goddess, it does seem likely you'd want to keep her in a position of power. So there's some pretty solid evidence that we have a direct monarchy in the Hylian kingdom. So let's discuss next if it's elective or hereditary. An elective monarchy is just how it sounds. The citizens or a group of electors vote on the monarch deemed worthy. Much like the presidential election in the US, they campaign and pander, pardon the cynicism. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. This is not the ideal setup a monarch in a direct monarchy would want. Likely, if you're a direct monarch, you're going to consolidate as much power to yourself as you can get. This includes the right to elections, or lack thereof. No, Hyrule falls more in line with the hereditary monarchy that we see in real-world countries and in the Mushroom Kingdom. As a reminder, hereditary monarchy is what we see in the case that a king dies and the next in line in the family takes over. In most games, at least the ones that involve Hyrule and Zelda directly, we do either see the king or Zelda refers to someone as her father. It's fairly easy to determine that we have a hereditary monarchy when it's in-game. The Zelda games are quite a bit simpler to determine than the Mushroom Kingdom, since we have it more or less spelled out through the story. So let's shift gears now and talk about the economy of Hyrule. Hyrule is built on the use of rupees, a gem-like currency with varying types. These work similarly to how pieces of gold or silver would have in past economic systems. But for a modern take, it's comparable to using American dollars without the use of change. This is most likely to simplify the in-game shops and would be more complicated in the real world. But what we see overall is the use of rupees in a free market type of economy. We also see some areas based around trade systems, but more often than not, it's a form of simple item shops and inns. We can clearly see divisions of wealth in the society if we look at the sizes of houses and the castle itself. Obviously, we have the richest class at the castle. Then there are business owners such as the ranchers, farmers, and shop owners. This is to say that most certainly it's a free market type system, offering competition between businesses and opportunities to accumulate riches with less restrictions than we would see in the Mushroom Kingdom. An interesting note to make as well is that we see a trade system between different civilizations within the Zelda world. This doesn't appear in all games, but when we do see it, it seems to depend on the items that each civilization can make best. This is the ideal way to do trade systems. Depending on what the civilization can make the best and at the lowest cost, gives that region a lead in exporting said items. The others import from that region at a lower cost than they would be able to produce it themselves, and sell it for a fairer price because of it. This is why isolationist societies often fail. Creating the products for a higher cost than just importing them would take causes a great divide among classes and eventually bankrupts the country due to the inability for citizens to participate in the economy. The biggest issue we see in Hyrule is going to be the massive magical enemies that constantly destabilize the region. Link has failed to save the kingdom before, and that means that it can happen again. This stems from the Triforce. Hyrule is a kingdom that holds a lot of power within it. This puts it at immense threat from enemies that wish to rule the world. Ganon is one of many. So the biggest risk to Hyrule is Hyrule itself. As I said, when it becomes destabilized by the big bads of the universe, it hasn't always recovered, proving that it can fall. Were it not in possession of such a powerful item, it would be much more stable of a system. Due to the lore requiring the Triforce to be in existence in Hyrule, if it were destroyed, we would see it become Lorule 2.0. So what can we say about Hyrule in terms of the real world? Well, going on the economy and the system of government in place, it can't last forever, mostly due to the direct monarchy in place. There's a reason those don't survive quite as long as a constitutional monarchy does. Oftentimes we see those succumb to revolts, and new systems are established for better or worse. Mostly, we see the effects of enemies engaging the kingdom. This is a bit random in terms of predicting this, especially when we get involved with magical elements in the universe. So with that being said, Hyrule has the right idea for the time period it's set in, but due to the unpredictability of the enemy, they can never be as prepared as possible for an attack. And this is a major flaw at no fault of Hyrule's. Luckily, they do have a mostly reliable hero and heroine in Link and Zelda, so when the enemy takes over, we have seen Link and Zelda restore the kingdom to normal Hyrule. Much like the Mushroom Kingdom, it isn't perfect, but it certainly isn't on a dark path to the detriment of its citizens. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and do the numerous other things that YouTube tells me to tell you to do. Till next time, this is Dr. 3AM, and I'm out.